21 strategies to close more sales in the next 2 months. This video is specially created for insurance agents, financial consultants, and financial advisors. If currently right now, you are kind of cracking your head and thinking, what can I do to get more sales, right? I only have 2 more months left. I'm about to give you 21 ideas. And these 21 ideas are built from these 4 categories, okay? So category number 1 is we focus on your existing clients, right? This is a landmine of sales opportunities. And the strategy here is to increase touch points with them, right? So that you can get more reviews, upsells, and referrals. Now, I want to explain a little bit about touch points. You see, the thing is this. Number 1, right? According to Google's Zmod, which is a 13-year research on sales, they discovered that a person buys from you once you hit 11 touch points across 4 locations and with a duration of 7 hours. That is the number of touch points you need these days. So you might say that I've already reached out to this client at the start of the year, but that's only once or twice. But remember this, that people need 11 touch points with you before they would really actually buy something. Or even if they have bought something, they will do a review with you. You can upsell and they can increase case size, or they can refer their friends to you. So you have to make sure you increase touch points. And I want to give you, and another way to explain this is, you guys always tell me that, hey, you know what, Eric, you can't predict the market, right? You don't know when the investment market is going to go up or down. So the safest bet is to make sure that you regularly, consistently invest an amount of money, because overall, you would still make money. So it's called dollar cost averaging. And I'll say that this strategy is basically dollar cost averaging in the world of marketing. You never know when a client needs your help, right? You never know when they have a friend that actually needs your help. You never know. So the safest bet is to communicate with them consistently every month, whether you have done sales with them or not. You communicate consistently so that the chances of them reaching out to you will be a lot higher. So these are all the ideas that I've shared with Epic Stars. So Epic Stars are essentially my mentees who sign up for a full year coaching. And we're not doing much coaching anymore moving forward 2023. Because I'll be flying quite a bit. So if you still want some help, you can always still reach out to me, let's see how it goes. But anyway, back to the presentation here, that there was a period of time where I was really giving them a lot of ideas of how to increase touch points. So these were the 4 basic ones. I think make sure that, every client at least have 4 touch points with you a year. That's the most basic, right? So make sure that you plan for their birthdays. Make sure that you do annual review. So every time you do work with them, always already give a heads up that I will be doing an annual review with you because there are changes, because, we're working on a big retirement plan, or we're working on a big financial goal. What I'm doing for you is only step 1. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. So you need to plant seeds, right? To let them know that this is not the end. Meeting me one time, buying one product from me is not going to help solve all your problems. So that's annual review. And then the third one is share new products. The minute they're your clients, it is your prerogative and it is your duty to tell them about what's going on in your company. Does the company have a new product? Does your company have a new offer? And I'm pretty sure companies are constantly creatively coming up with new offers and products. So you have one chance also to share with them. Hey, you know what? Good news. Because you are ABC client, my company have created something just for you. I think you would love this. Can I get 20 minutes of your time on Zoom to walk you through? I don't want you to miss it out. Right? So that's the 3rd touch point. And then the 4th touch point is appreciation events. I think today, we are no longer, people are no longer identifying themselves by possessions. They are identifying themselves by experiences, all thanks to COVID. If you look at the last 2 years of COVID, you check your phone, you realize that you have not many memories, right? So people today are looking for memories. They're looking for experiences so that they can tell their friends about it, the cool things that they have done, not the cool, expensive things they have bought, but the cool things they have done and experienced. So if you understand that that's the psyche of your customers, then you will know that you want to actively, work with a company. I'm sure every company have their own, or agency have their own client appreciation events. Make sure at least once a year you organize one for your clients. So that's already 4 touch points. Now, proactively, you yourself, every quarter, you can also organize events, right? So every quarter, 1 type of events. And essentially, there are 4 types of experiences that people want. They want to learn, they want to play sports, they want to socialize, they want to volunteer. So plan such that, in the next 1 year, every quarter, you have a event that you personally organize where you invite your clients to join you because they probably have some interest in that area. So every quarter, plan for that set of activities because you do not need like 100 people to come. So for example, right now we are in the last quarter of November and December. So perhaps every other week or even every week, you can organize very small group. Small group could be like 3 to 4 people, So it could be like, okay, I'm going to play badminton, but rather than playing badminton with your friends who's not going to feed you any business, why not look through your clientele and find out who are clients that would possibly like to play badminton, right? And then say, hey, I'm going to book a court and I'm going to play badminton. Would you like to join me? And if the person says yes, say, bring 1 or 2 friends who are also interested in badminton. You see, you want to make it easy for your clients to introduce their friends to you. And while playing badminton, it's a very good camaraderie and you're going to have a meal anyway, right? So weekly, make sure every week you're doing something fun, right? Any of these 4 activities, don't invite your friends, invite and family, invite your customers, get a customer, bring their friends. The last thing you can do has got to do the macro trends out there. So you want to constantly pay attention to news relating to your target market or news relating to finance, right? So for example, like yesterday, there was this news on Mothership that talks about how Singapore $1 is now Malaysian, possibly $3 ringgit and 45 cents, right? So that's big news. I mean, it's bad news for Malaysians and it might be good news for Singaporeans, I don't know. So this is something that you want to share and give your take that, hey, you know what, this is not going to be a one-time thing. Explain why this is happening. Explain what could happen if our Singapore dollar start losing our power, what's going to happen, right? And so this is where you take advantage of news that's happening around you and you share your perspective. That's what clients appreciate and they want you to do that because the minute you do that, you're perceived as an authority. Right? And if you don't know, ask your seniors so that they teach you and then you transfer the information. So it's your duty to constantly be on your toes, reporting news around Asia or even the world. Relevant case studies. Every time you meet a customer and you help the customer solve a particular problem, always ask yourself, do I have a client who currently also have the same problem or have mentioned to me that this is also a big problem, right? Share with your customers. Even if you have already helped your customers solve their problem, let them know, text them and say, hey, you know what? Recently I met a client, same profile as you, also had the same issue. And this is my recommendation for him. I came up with this solution for him. You might want to take a look because we haven't had a chance to work on that piece of the problem. So if it resonates with you, especially since I got very good testimonial from that client, I would be more than happy to help you with that too. So every time you do work with your customers, you're thinking back to other customers who may not have solved that problem yet. You go in and help solve that. Okay, so that is sharing case studies and then updates on the investment. So if you're doing sign LP or you're doing funds for them, obviously this is market updates every quarter. So you should be doing one right now in November or December, right? To let them know what are the updates and what funds they need to switch if necessary. And finally, share useful insights. Whenever you read books or watch videos that the information will be very relevant to them. So say, for example, you have customers who are entrepreneurs and now you're watching this video and you go like, you know what, Eric, whatever that you teach would be really useful for my customer as well. Forward it to your customers, right? Share information with them so that they know you're constantly thinking about them. For this strategy to work, you need to have a system to keep in touch with them. The problem is you do not have a system to keep in touch with them. That's why, you forget. And then by the time you need sales, you haven't clocked your 11 touch points, which is why they are ignoring you, ghosting you, or they're not responding positively to you. Now, so this is something that you want to take note of moving forward. You want to create a system to keep in touch with your customers. Here in Epic, this is the system I told them. Top clients, and it's clients that you really want to do more business with. You have strong affinity with them. They have a lot of money that they can spend with you, and they have a big network. This will be your top clients. You want to keep in touch with them once a month. Now, these are all interesting ideas. You're not haggling them. You're not selling them anything. Out of these 12 ideas over here, you realize that only one is selling or possibly 2 is selling, right? So the rest are all value adding. So that's great. Customers want to know that you care about them, right? So top customers, keep in touch with them once a month. Normal customers once every quarter. Often clients maybe twice a year. And you might want to have a software to remind you to keep in touch. So here in Epic, I built a software for them called Strive. And essentially, all they need to do is just key in their customers label the customer as top, orphans, or normal clients, my software, like a coach, will remind them every single day. So every day they wake up, they open Stripe, they'll see a to-do list, and I'll remind them who are the people they need to keep in touch with. And once they are able to hit enough touch points, I will also remind them to set up sales appointments. So you don't have to use my system, but you need to make sure you have some sort of a software. And of course, if you feel that you have no software and you want something very, very affordable, I think less than a cup of Starbucks coffee, talk to me. Just, you're watching this on YouTube right now, so just leave a comment below called Strive. I'll get my team to do a demonstration for you, and then I'll teach you how to use it so that you constantly keep in touch with your customers so that you will get reviews, upsells, and referrals. So that's part one, category one. Now, category two, failed prospects. They also have a lot of potential to give you business, because I always say this: just because they say no to you once doesn't mean they say no to you forever. No just means not yet. The problem is we forget to keep in touch with them, which is why by the time they are ready, they will go after somebody who was consistent in keeping in touch with them. So you kind of lose their opportunity. So under failed prospects, I got a strategy for you. That is, you need to follow up consistently with them so that you get a second chance to help them. And I want to give you a few ideas of how to do that. So the first idea is share case studies of clients with similar problems with them and why they went ahead with you. So remember, every time you close a sale, right, always think, this case study, right, this problem that the person have, this profile of that person, and the solution I give to that person, and the benefits of that solution. This entire case study, besides sending to clients who I want to do more business with, you also want to send it to prospects that you failed to close. Right. So every time you fail to close a prospect, make sure you take notes, make sure you understand why they didn't buy from you. Make sure you understand what's the problem that they wanted to solve. And then you always match. So you'll say something like, hey, so-and-so, I recently met a person who's same profile with you. He had the same problem with you. And he also had the same concern with you initially when I told him about my solution, and he wasn't very keen to move ahead. But eventually he decided to move ahead because, you see, this objection handling, but in a very subtle storytelling way. So it's a lot more persuasive. And then, you tell him, say, so I'm wondering if you are ready right now for us to revisit that solution. And then you add a one-liner of urgency and say that I really recommend that you let's do this year because there'll be policy changes, because of inflation, things are going to get more expensive. Essentially, just adds a sense of urgency. Or because I know you're going to be busy in the next 2 months, let's get it done before you go for your holidays in peace. So that's one method. And this method allows you to keep following up with your failed prospects as often as you are closing sales. So you don't have to wait, till the end of the year to follow up. As and when you've got a case that is very similar, as and when you have a profile of a customer that's very similar, it is your opportunity to reach out, because you're still value adding them by telling them about the solution, by telling them about feedback of that solution. Now, the second idea I have for you is to leverage on news or regulation changes to create a sense of urgency. So this is very similar to the idea I told you about paying attention to the macro news out there. What are some of the changes that's happening? So for example, one of my mentees shared with me that, there are some changes to your critical illness coverage. That MediSave, this is for Singapore, right? MediSave is some kind of medical insurance that our government kind of subsidized. And it no longer can cover a certain set of treatments, right? So that was a news. And I think that this is very important because people buy sometimes because of trigger events, things that happen around them that triggered them to make a decision. So pay attention to news and always ask yourself, will this news actually add a sense of urgency? Every time you see people, complaining about retirement, that's a piece of news that can add urgency to your prospects who failed to plan their retirement. If you see inflation issues, that's a very good news to push people, to trigger people, to go and plan their retirement as well. So every time you see a piece of news, forward it to them and say, hey, you know what? I just saw this news. I'm not sure if you have seen it. Have you seen it? Wait for them to reply. If they reply, continue the conversation. If they don't, still continue the text and say that the reason why I send this to you is because this have negative consequences to whatever that's going to be happening to you. So you're constantly reminding people, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the fact of the matter is no one's going to wake up thinking about insurance, investment, or retirement planning. We have tons of problems to think about. So we need you to help us think about those problems that we probably don't foresee. So you're doing us a favor. We may not appreciate it at the beginning, but you are doing us a favor. So remember, as long as you're not haggling and selling them products, you're really just explaining to them why this is so important to them. They cannot fault you for being passionate and enthusiastic. All right. Finally, another idea is to share their insights and videos to help them become better informed so they're more open. So a lot of times people don't buy from you because they are not well educated in the area. So for example, people might not think that retirement planning is extremely important because they don't understand the consequences of inflation. Or people don't appreciate retirement because they don't understand the concept of passive income, or they don't understand, or they have this misconception that investment is very dangerous. So because of all these misconceptions and inaccurate information or lack of information, knowledge, that's what prevents them, from going ahead to buy a product from you. So before they are ready to buy a product, we need to fix the gap. We need to close up the gaps. We need to clear the misconception. We need to educate them on certain concepts so that they will be ready later on to buy from you. So that's why I say, every time you receive an objection from your prospect or even your customer, don't panic. It's a good thing. They're giving you a clue on how to close them. Every sales objection is a content objective. Let me repeat that. Every sales objection you face is a content objective. So pay attention to all the objections that they've given you. I hope you've been noting them down, right? And then turn that into pieces of content that you can create and then send it to them on WhatsApp, produce it on TikTok or Reels, and then forward them the link and say that, hey, when I met you 3 months ago, you mentioned you have this concern. Here's my take about it. I think this is going to help clarify a lot of doubts for you. And then you forward them. So you're increasing touch points as well. Remember I told you 11 touch points? And there was this study done in US that says that the probability of closing a sale goes up to 80% at the 4th to the 6th interaction. So you don't even need 11 touch points, A sale happens at the 4th to the 6th interaction, according to them, right? But I think that these days it has expanded to 11. So the good news is, if you keep in touch with these failed prospects at least 4 times, your chances of closing them already possibly goes up to 80%. I think that's a very good bet, right? So the problem is you don't know how to follow up. That's one. Number 2, you don't have a system to follow up. So remember, okay, for failed prospects, you get every time you close a case, it's a chance to follow up with some of them. Every time you see a piece of news, it's a chance to follow up with some of them. Every time you read a piece of information that can handle an objection, it's a chance for you to follow up with your prospects. When you do that, you will not leave money on the table. Now, part 3. Referrals, obviously, bread and butter of your business. If you're not asking for referrals, you're really, really missing out. I'll tell you why referrals are so important. The reason why banks are selling you so many products, because they understand that the more products you buy from a bank, the more loyal you become to them. So likewise, if all their friends, all their family members, their entire network is all doing business with you, there's very little chance that they would go do business with someone else. That's why asking for referral isn't just good for short term, but it's very good for long-term success as well. So referral, how? You need to be proactive. I think number 1 is you got to set a reminder to ask for a referral after every sale. You'll be very, very surprised, including my own personal mentees, that they forget to ask for referrals. Can you believe that? They forget to ask for referrals. So make sure that you set it as an SOP, right? So you can either have a post-it note on your computer, set a timer, like if you step in the meeting, 60 minutes later, you have an alarm that says ask for referral, all right? And make sure, you ask for it. I think that's the most basic level. And there are tons of scripts out there that teaches you how to ask for referrals. So I don't think I need to teach you that, but problem is we forget. Number 2 is sometimes after you ask for referrals, they will tell you, I'll think about it, right? So that goes without saying, do what you need to do to handle those objections. But I would say that another way to think about referrals is to make it easy for them to recommend their friends to you. The fact is sometimes it's very hard for a non-salesperson to go and talk to their friends about insurance and investments, So I don't mind introducing my friends to you, but I want to do it in a very subtle way. So the way to do that is to organize events. Remember I told you, learn, sports, charities, volunteer events or social events, and then just tell a friend, say, hey, you know what? I'd love to expand my network. Could you invite your friends who are very sociable or who love sports or who love to learn? Just invite them to come over. And then you do your job in connecting with them. So your friends don't have to do the sales job for you, because not everybody likes to sell. I mean, even you also might not always like to sell. What about those non-insurance agents, right? So make it easy for them to introduce their network to you. And one of the ways is to organize events, small events, interest, just outings, right? And get them to bring their friends along. And the best part is, during introduction, you can ask your friend, hey, could you share with your friend how you got to know me and why you used to work with me? So that's free testimonials, right? And they become your wingman. Finally, share how you help the client on social media and tag him and her. Now, this is something that I also noticed that a lot of insurance agents and financial consultants, they don't do. Every time you do a consult, whether you close or you don't close, remember to document it on live, right? Oh, sorry, on your IGS, on your stories. The reason is because each time you meet a person and you post it online, you are sending a signal to your consumers and your followers that you are in demand, right? And I tell you something, people like to work with people who are in demand. That's why queues attract longer queues. Take it from a person who used to sell food at the market, right? So when I have a queue, the queue will attract more people. So every time you meet someone and you post it on social media, it immediately makes people feel like you are a friendly person, you are a popular person, and therefore later when you reach them for a social appointment or a sales appointment, the chances is significantly higher. Now, so remember to post it on your social media, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a picture together and say, hey, do you mind if I take a picture and post it? If they mind, let's cover them up, right? Or if you're on Zoom, also take a picture to commemorate this session. And do you mind if I share what I've done with you? Do you mind I share this on social media, right? If the person says no, then it's okay, blanco their face, but you need to show your face, right? It could even just be your face and a PowerPoint slide, like this picture that you're seeing right now, also can. And then you must always write in your IGS, who is this profile? You don't have to reveal the name, but you must reveal the profile. So that, because people like work with specialists these days. So if you are working with a mom and you say that I'm working with a mom, the rest of the moms will start paying attention to this IGS. Instagram will also pay attention. The algorithm will pay attention. When you mention the word mommy, they will start sending more mummies to watch your IGS. So you're helping the algorithm bring the right people to you. So if you're working with an engineer, say I'm working with an engineer, so that the rest of the engineers that are following you will pay attention. And then don't tell me what products they buy, tell me what problems they have, because problems are attractive, problems are emotional, problems get people's attention. So the mistake that we make a lot on social media is we keep telling people, oh, I did retirement planning, which is a solution. I sell them a CI plan, which is sales, right? You don't do that. Share a problem that the person faced. This guy is in the ABC industry, very worried that he might get retrenched. A lot of his money is in the bank, and he understands that inflation is so much higher than bank interest. His money is essentially losing value, and he worried that he doesn't have enough money for his retirement and his kids' education for the next 5 years. So I sat down with him. I shared with him a very personalized solution, and this is what he said. Thank you so much, so-and-so. I really love this. Thank you for giving me such useful insights. I appreciate it. Done. All you need is just a 1-2-liner testimonial, and make sure you have an interactive sticker that says, do you also have the same problem, or do you need my help as well? Yes or not yet. Make sure you keep it a habit. Now, it will get repetitive, and it doesn't matter. Propaganda is repetitive too, right? Communication is all about repetition. Persuasion, it's all about repetition. The more you repeat, the more people will reinforce. Remember, 11 touch points. So even though it's boring for you, even though you feel like you are a broken record holder, it is not to your followers, because not all of them will see your content at the same time. So people will miss it. So from your source point of view, you are repeating yourself. But from a follower's point of view, they might only be seeing it once. Sometimes they see it once, they forget. But they see it second time, they also ignore. But the third time they see it, they start looking and then they glance. Fourth time they see it, they start reading. Fifth time they see it, they start reading and thinking. Sixth time they see it, they go, maybe I should look for you. So the repetition is what gets you the sale. So that's why people say, social media doesn't work. It's not that the media doesn't work. It's you don't understand how to work that media. So I hope that really helps you. Okay, so the key to do well in referrals is to make it easy for them to introduce you to their network. So yeah, scripts are important, but make it easy for people to refer, because they are not salespeople. It's very difficult sometimes to introduce you to them. They don't even know how to sell. All right. So write the text for them, offer to do the calls yourself, create more social opportunities, leverage on social media. Because when you tag them, get them to share, that's already a very good referral already. Okay. Now, finally, the last layer, new leads. Okay, because you only have 2 months left, being able to get new leads would be the least of your priority, because you need time to nurture. So that's why you notice I go from bottom up, right? The strategy is the strongest at the bottom, right? The priority should be at your bottom up, Okay, so now new leads. How can you still get new leads on social media? Got two ideas for you. Well, idea number one is to create authority content. Right, Reels is blowing up on Instagram right now. I have seen so many of my mentees, they have only a few hundred followers, but they get thousands of views and a few, maybe tens or 20s of comments asking questions, which are essentially potential leads. So you can do that on TikTok as well. You can do it on Instagram. So what you want to do is every time you meet a customer, obviously they're going to be asking you tons of questions, right? So pay attention to those questions that they ask you, and then make sure that you record a video, right? A short form vertical video, and just answer that question. Always start your video. Don't introduce yourself. Nobody cares, right? Just introduce yourself with the question. All right. So, for example, how to beat inflation if you don't really have a lot of money in the bank account. Right? Maybe that's the question. So you start with that. How to beat inflation if you don't have a lot of money in the bank account. And then in the next 10, 20, 30 seconds, you give me the answer. Quickly just give me the overall answer. Say, this is how I would recommend you to do it. Number one, number two, number three. And then end with a call to action. If you want more personalized advice to solve this problem, DM advice to me. So that's the format that you want to follow if you want to use content to generate leads. Hook with a problem or a question, and then give me the answer in under 30 seconds because people have very little attention span on social media, right? So usually 30 seconds means that try to answer your question in 3 to 5 statements, right? There's no way you can elaborate, and that's not a point. If you over elaborate, then they don't need you, right? So the key is to set up appointments, you see. So after you answer 3 to 5 lines, then you give a CTA. You say that, now, if it's too complex for you or you have further questions like this and this and this, just DM me, I'll talk to you. Get them to DM you, because every time they DM you, they are sending a very strong signal to Instagram or TikTok that they trust you, which means that there will be a higher chance that they will see your future content. So DM is very, very powerful, right? So get them and leave a DM. Even though you can get them and call you, say DM, and then you talk to them. So that leaving a comment increases the score of your content, which will then allow your content to be seen by more people. And the thing is that even if you don't want to do it on Reels, you can always do it on your IGS first, right? And then if you notice that IGS is getting you very good response, then you save the IGS video and post it as a reel. Now you can expand that group. So it's pretty similar to like what's happening to me, right? Just yesterday, right, on Thursday during Epic Coaching, they were asking me for more ideas on how to close sales. So I shared with them, okay, existing clients, you should do this. Prospect, you should do this. Referrals, you should. So I was giving them all these things, and I designed that PowerPoint slide, which you're seeing right now. And then I just casually shared it on IGS, and it blew up. Like everybody was asking me, "Oh, can I have the slides?" And that's why I decided to post that video into Reels. And of course, we got hundreds of you guys asking for the slide. And I follow up by asking you, would you want me to do a deep dive? Say yes. Now I'm doing a deep dive, adding more value to you guys. And this is going to be on YouTube because YouTube allowed me to host longer form content. So can you see how it happens, right? So it's the same thing for you, right? Be proactive in creating content, and don't fret that your content need to be perfect. You just got to pay attention to problems and questions that people are asking you. Commentaries will help a lot as well. So whenever you have a piece of news, put the news at the background, like a green screen background, and then start commenting on the news. Share your perspective in under 20 seconds. Like, what do you think about the news? So you can say, so start off by sharing, read the headline, right, that captures the attention, explain what this whole news is about, summarize it, and then end with, so what is the impact to the person that is watching the video? You will be able to do this video under 30 seconds. Okay? Another way, this is a bit more complex, so I won't recommend it for you if you're new to social media, and that is to create a lead magnet to build your funnel, your marketing funnel. So what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is something valuable you give away to solve an immediate problem of your clients or your prospects. So say, for example, I have one of my students who is with Mommy's Market, and one of the common questions that mummies are always asking is exactly how much money do they need to save every month in order to help their kids go to a certain university. So we created a lead magnet where the mom just got to tell us what are the universities they want to go to. And then immediately we churn out essentially how much money they need to save every month. If they save just purely by bank alone, how much money they need to save. By different instruments, financial instruments, how much they need to save. So that itself is high value because parents want to know that. And then we upsell them by saying, hey, you know what? So now you know But before you jump into investment, I think let me assess your risk appetite first, and then I'll come up with a personalized investment plan for you, right? And that's where we sell the one-to-one consult. So you can give away something as a lead magnet, and then it works the same way as authority content, except that it's something that you give. So it could be a checklist, it could be an ebook, it could be some kind of a survey, a software, it could be a list of hacks, anything. As long as something valuable that people are willing to raise their hand and give you their email address and telephone number to take, that's a lead magnet. And then at the end of every lead magnet that you give away, always make sure that you're selling a one-to-one consult, because the idea is to get them to meet you for a consult. Okay, so empathy is key here. Understanding who you're serving is extremely important. So pay attention to your target market pressing problems and burning questions. Use them to create content or lead magnets. You can always test them on IGS first before you roll that out on Rails, or you roll that out as a lead magnet. Okay, so that will help you get some new leads, even though I would not say that that should be the priority. Content, I think, yes, you can, right? But lead magnet, maybe, not for all of you. Unless you already got something valuable you have given away before early this year, you can restart the whole process again. Finally, I just want to tell you that for all these ideas to work, all these strategies to work, you've got to have a strong personal brand. What is your personal brand? I've always summarized it as K, L, and R. Do the target market that you're going after know you, like you, respect you? Because if they know you, like you, respect you, then they want to do business with you. So I would say that, right now, as you are doing all your hustling, make sure that you're also constantly building your personal brand on social media. And this is a very simple list of how you can build your personal brand. I'm going to switch myself off so you can see this. So number one is be very clear of what makes you attractive, right? So go ask your top customers, your close friends, family members, ask them, hey, what makes me very attractive to you? Right? What kind of aspect of my personality that makes you attractive? What are my core strengths? Things that I'm really good at doing. It could be related to the financial planning. It could be just in general. And what do you think and core values, you have to answer it yourself. What are your core values? What do you believe in, right? So say, for example, your personality, you're very optimistic as a person, and your strength is, you are very good at reading stuff, complex stuff, and breaking it down into simple terms. And then you have, your value is family is extremely important, right? Family is extremely important. So now you understand that, okay, that becomes my guidelines. I'm constantly going to share positive things on social media, right? Because I want to show my optimism. I'm going to constantly be reading things that's complex to do with finance and break it down into listicles or break it down into a 30-second video. I'm also going to, constantly share my relationship with my family, because I believe family is important. So that becomes your guidelines where you're putting social media content. So a lot of times people say that, oh, document your life, just share everything. No, you don't share everything, because if you share everything, people get confused about who you are. So start by understanding what makes you attractive, because after all, we are in an attraction game, right? We're trying to get people to pay attention to us. So understand what makes you attractive, and then start communicating those things on social media intentionally. Now, that kind of covered point number 2. And then point number 3, you document your life to create rapport. So basically, what aspects of your life that will create a lot of similarity with your target market, right? So if you're a mom, please share more of your mommy's life, because that will make them empathize with you and appreciate you more. And when I say document your work, is what I've taught you just now, which is every time you help a customer or you help a prospect, please share it on social media. We want to know what kind of work you have done, right? There's so many insurance agents in your country. We want to know what makes you different. And the way to know what makes you different is by hearing from the horse's mouth what your customers think about you. And I think the last thing is to take time to interact with your target market on social media. So spend about 15 to 30 minutes every day just interacting with your target market, right? Your followers, who are the market that you want, follow their content, share their content, leave comments, right? Ask them questions like, what are some of the challenges that you're facing currently, so that you know what kind of content that you can produce as well. And the very cool thing is every time you interact with your followers, and if they DM you back, you're creating a very strong social relationship, which means that every time you post content on IGS or Rails, they will see it. And that increases the chance of you being able to close them for a sale. So thank you very much. for making it through this 35-minute video. It wasn't intentional to do such a long teaching class, but I really want to deep dive. This is very deep, right? To go through every single piece to you because I want you to do well, okay? And if you really want to thank me, the best thing to do for all content creators is to always hit the like button and to hit the share button, you know. And in fact, take this video, play it to your agencies, you know, let them watch it, implement it together, form study groups so that your friends do it with you. And at the end of the year, when any of these ideas have helped you got some results, please let me know. That's always the best way to thank me, by letting me know that the things I've teach have helped you. And it will make me really, really happy. Okay, so with that, remember this, okay? Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So go out there in the marketplace, implement those ideas, help as many people as possible, because the amount of money that you make is simply the market's feedback of your value. So the more value you give out to the world, the more money you're gonna make.